The Nexin Empire stood as a testament to technological brilliance across the known galaxy. Their crystalline ships, powered by artificial stars, cut through space like shards of light, each vessel a masterpiece of engineering that had taken centuries to perfect. From their capital world of Nexin Prime, they had spent millennia expanding their influence across thousands of star systems, meeting little resistance that their superior technology couldn't easily overcome. Supreme Commander Vexus stood at the observation deck of the Imperial flagship Eternal Dawn, her iridescent scales reflecting the starlight as she watched her fleet prepare for routine patrol. The Nexirans had evolved from aquatic predators, and that heritage showed in their sleek, serpentine forms and the fluid grace with which they moved. Their civilization had mastered the arts of stellar engineering, while other species were still learning to make fire. Another report from the outer sectors. Supreme Commander announced First Officer Kellex, his neural interface projecting the data directly into the ship's holographic display. The primitive species on the third planet of Sol system has achieved rudimentary spaceflight. They call themselves humans. Vexus's secondary eyes blinked in amusement while her primary set remained fixed on the starfield. How quaint. Have they managed to reach their own moon yet? They have established small colonies on their moon and neighboring planet. Supreme Commander. They seem quite proud of the achievement. The bridge crew shared a moment of quiet laughter. For a species that could build Dyson swarms and fold space itself, such accomplishments seemed little more impressive than an infant's first steps. Keep the standard observation protocols in place, Vexus commanded. They pose no interest to the Empire until they at least achieve practical faster-than-light travel, though I doubt that will happen within the next few centuries. But over the next decade, the reports from Sol became more frequent. The humans were advancing at an unprecedented rate. They had established outposts throughout their solar system, developed fusion power, and were making theoretical breakthroughs in physics that caught the attention of even the Empire's most seasoned scientists. Supreme Commander Kellex reported during one routine briefing, the humans have publicly announced their first successful FTL test flight. They're requesting formal diplomatic contact with the galactic community. Vexus felt a flicker of irritation. The Empire had hoped to maintain their observation of Earth undisturbed for at least another century. Very well. Dispatch a diplomatic vessel. Make it clear that while we welcome them to the galactic stage, they are expected to acknowledge the Empire's predominant position in all matters of trade and territory. The diplomatic mission returned 3 months later with troubling news. The humans had not only achieved FTL travel but had developed their own unique approach to it. While the Empire used crystalline matrices to fold space, the humans had somehow developed a method involving what they called quantum tunneling. More disturbing still, they had refused to share the details of their technology or acknowledge the Empire's traditional right to technological oversight. They dare to keep secrets from us. Vex's scales shifted to a darker hue, reflecting her growing anger. We who have guided the development of 1,000 worlds. The diplomatic team's leader, Ambassador Cyril, maintained a careful neutral tone. They insist that as an independent species, they have the right to develop their own technological path. They speak of partnership and mutual exchange, rather than guidance. The Supreme Commander's laughter held no humor. Partnership, with a species that has barely left its cradle. Perhaps we have been too gentle in our approach. The humans clearly need a demonstration of what real power looks like. Over the following months, the Empire began positioning its fleets near Earth's territory under the guise of routine patrols. They watched as humans established their first extrasolar colonies, using ships that seemed almost primitive by Imperial standards. The vessels were bulky, inelegant things that appeared to rely on brute force rather than the Empire's refined technology. Their ships are an offense to the very concept of space travel, Vexus remarked to her command staff. They power through space like mining barges rather than proper warships. When we move against them, it will be a mercy, teaching them the proper way to exist in this galaxy. But deep and secure facilities across Earth and its colonies, hidden from the Empire's watching eyes. Humanity was preparing for a confrontation they had long anticipated. The seemingly crude ships were merely a facade, concealing capabilities that would soon shatter the Empire's assumptions about their new neighbors. As Vexus finalized her plans for what she assumed would be a swift and educational conquest, she remained unaware that her Empire's greatest humbling was about to begin. The humans, dismissed as primitives, were about to demonstrate why assumptions about a species' capabilities could be the deadliest mistake of all. Deep beneath the ice sheets of Europa, humanity's true technological prowess remained hidden from prying eyes. Dr. Sarah Chen stood before a massive quantum core, its crystalline structure pulsing with an otherworldly blue light. The facility, known only as Deep Harbor, sprawled through tunnels carved into the moon's frozen crust, invisible to the Empire's regular patrols. "Final calibration test complete," announced Dr. Chen's eye assistant through her neural interface. "Quantum tunneling efficiency at 120% of projected capacity." She allowed herself a small smile. 10 years of work, all leading to this moment. While the Empire watched humanity's seemingly clumsy attempts at conventional space travel, they remained blind to the revolution happening beneath their notice. "Send the results to Admiral Torres," she instructed, "and initiate shutdown sequence. We can't risk the energy signature being detected." In his office aboard the Lunar Defense Station, Admiral Miguel Torres reviewed the data with growing satisfaction. The Nexin Empire's arrogance had given humanity the one advantage they desperately needed: time. Every dismissive report from their observation posts, every condescending diplomatic exchange, had bought Earth more months to perfect their quantum tunneling technology. "They think we're children playing with toys," Torres muttered, studying the holographic display of the Empire's latest patrol patterns. "Let them keep thinking that." The quantum tunneling breakthrough had come almost by accident. While researching more efficient FTL travel methods, Dr. Chen's team had discovered that space itself had memory, quantum echoes that could be manipulated. Rather than brute forcing their way through space like conventional drives, they learned to fold reality itself, creating instantaneous passages through the quantum fabric of the universe. But unlike the Empire's crude space-folding technology, quantum tunneling left no trace. No radiation signature, no distortion wake, nothing that could be detected by conventional sensors. A ship using the technology could appear anywhere in space, unleash its weapons, and vanish before the enemy could even register its presence. The price for this advantage had been steep. Humanity had deliberately maintained the appearance of technological inferiority, using outdated ships and conventional drives for all visible operations. Every colony, every trade route, every public advancement had been carefully calculated to reinforce the Empire's perception of humans as struggling newcomers to galactic civilization. In a secure chamber beneath the Lunar Defense Command, the leaders of Earth's military and scientific communities gathered for what might be their final planning session. The Empire's fleet movements had grown more aggressive, their diplomatic communications more overtly threatening. Their positioning for a strike, Admiral Torres announced to the assembled leaders, "Our latest intelligence suggests they plan to teach us our place within the next solar month." General Sarah Williams, commander of Earth's Special Operations, activated a holographic display showing the locations of humanity's hidden fleet. "All quantum-capable ships are in position. The Empire believes they're tracking our entire naval capacity, but they're seeing less than 10% of our actual strength." Dr. Chen stepped forward, her expression grave. "The quantum cores are performing beyond expectations, but we should all understand what we're about to attempt. No civilization has ever successfully challenged the Empire. If we fail, Earth will face consequences beyond imagination. And if we don't try," Torres countered, "we accept slavery in all but name. The Empire doesn't want partners. They want vassals. They've made that clear enough." Throughout human space, preparations accelerated. Civilian ships maintained their usual patterns, while military vessels, hidden by quantum fields, moved into strategic positions. The Empire's sensors continued to show exactly what humanity wanted them to see: a scattered, disorganized collection of primitive ships going about their business. In orbit around Mars, Commander Lisa Hayes ran her crew through another series of quantum jump drills aboard the QSS Phantom, humanity's most advanced warship. The vessel looked like a standard cargo hauler from the outside, a deliberate design choice that belied the revolutionary technology within. "Jump calculations complete," her navigation officer reported. "We can have the entire fleet in position within 30 seconds of the initial signal." Hayes nodded, studying the tactical display. The Empire's ships were formidable, their technology the product of millennia of development. But they had grown complacent in their power, relying on the same strategies and technologies that had served them for generations. "They expect us to fight like everyone else they've conquered," Hayes told her crew during the final briefing. "They expect us to follow the same rules, use the same tactics. That's exactly why we're going to win." As the Empire's fleet continued its buildup, humanity's hidden strengths grew stronger. Each day brought new refinements to the quantum tunneling technology, new tactical innovations, new ways to exploit the Empire's blind spots. The facade of primitive technology remained firmly in place, but beneath it lay a force unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The Empire believed they were preparing to teach humanity a lesson. They didn't realize they were about to become students themselves, in the dangers of underestimating a species that had spent its entire history learning to overcome seemingly impossible odds. The Nexin Empire's attack began with characteristic grandeur. 300 capital ships emerged from fold space in perfect formation, their crystalline hulls catching the light of Earth's sun. Supreme Commander Vexus had chosen to make humanity's lesson as public as possible, broadcasting on all frequencies in a display of absolute confidence. To the leadership of Earth and its colonies, her message echoed across every human communication channel. "Your defiance of imperial authority ends today. Surrender your technology and accept imperial oversight, or face immediate consequences." From his command center beneath Luna's surface, Admiral Torres watched the Empire's fleet deployment with outward concern, but inner satisfaction. The Nexarans had positioned their forces exactly as predicted. Their tactical doctrine hadn't changed in centuries, and they saw no reason to adapt for what they considered an inferior opponent. "Send the standard response," Torres ordered. "Make it appropriately panicked." Earth's official channels erupted with frightened diplomatic requests for negotiation. Civilian ships scattered in apparent terror, while the small visible portion of humanity's defense fleet moved into predictably ineffective positions. It was a performance worthy of civilization's greatest actors, and the Empire was the perfect audience. Vexus observed Earth's chaotic response with smug satisfaction. "Just as expected," she remarked to her command staff. "Begin the first phase of the demonstration. Target their outer system defenses." The Empire's ships moved with practiced precision, their weapons systems powering up in a dazzling display of light and energy. The first salvos struck Mars' orbital platforms, destroying the outdated defense installations with contemptuous ease. Vexus waited for the humans' inevitable pleas for mercy. Instead, something impossible happened. Deep within the quantum-shielded chambers of Deep Harbor, Dr. Chen initiated the master sequence they'd prepared for this moment. "Quantum field stabilized," she announced. "All ships, you are clear to emerge." Commander Hayes aboard the Phantom received the signal she'd been waiting for. "All hands, prepare for combat emergence. Remember your training. Today we show the Empire what humanity can really do." The first indication that something was wrong came from the Empire's rear squadrons. Ships began reporting sensor anomalies, strange quantum fluctuations that their systems couldn't identify. Vexus dismissed the reports as battle damage or equipment malfunctions. The humans didn't have technology sophisticated enough to affect Imperial sensors. Then the impossible became reality. In perfect synchronization, humanity's true fleet emerged from quantum tunnels throughout the Imperial formation. Ships appeared literally inside the Empire's carefully maintained defensive screens, bypassing their most powerful protections as if they didn't exist. The primitive vessels the Empire had dismissed transformed, quantum camouflage dissolving to reveal weapons unlike anything they had encountered. Multiple contacts. Kellic shouted, his composed demeanor shattering as new signals appeared throughout the Imperial fleet. They're inside our formation. Inside our shields. Vexus watched in horror as the first wave of human attacks struck home. Quantum-guided weapons phased through Imperial armor like it wasn't there, striking vital systems with surgical precision. Ships that had survived centuries of combat began exploding, their much-vaunted technology useless against an enemy that could ignore the basic laws of physics as the Empire understood them. Impossible, Vexus whispered, watching her perfect formation dissolve into chaos. They're ships. They're beneath us. They're primitive. They can't. But they could, and they were. The humans had turned their quantum tunneling technology into the perfect weapon. Their ships could appear anywhere, strike from any angle, and vanish before the Empire's weapons could lock on. Traditional space combat doctrine became meaningless against an enemy that didn't need to obey normal rules of movement and position. All ships, maintain formation, Vexus ordered, but her commands fell on deaf ears as panic spread through the Imperial fleet. How could you maintain formation against an enemy that could strike at the heart of your defenses without warning? What good were shields against weapons that simply bypassed them entirely? The Empire's mighty armada, which had approached Earth with such confidence, found itself in a nightmare scenario. Their superior numbers meant nothing when they couldn't effectively target their enemy. Their advanced shields were useless against quantum-phased weapons. Even their ability to fold space seemed crude and slow compared to the humans' instant quantum tunneling. As her fleet dissolved into chaos around her, Vexus faced a reality that no Imperial commander had confronted in centuries. The possibility of defeat. The humans hadn't just developed new technology. They had revolutionized the very nature of space combat. Every assumption, every tactic, every strategy the Empire had relied on for generations had just been rendered obsolete. The lesson was being taught, but not the one the Empire had planned to deliver. Humanity was demonstrating why it was dangerous to mistake technological differences for technological inferiority, and the price of that lesson would be paid in Imperial ships and Imperial lives. Commander Hayes stood at the helm of the Phantom, orchestrating a battle that would rewrite military doctrine across the galaxy. Human ships danced through quantum space, appearing and disappearing like ghosts through the Imperial formation. Each emergence was precisely calculated, each strike devastating in its efficiency. Target their command and control nodes, Hayes ordered, her voice steady despite the chaos unfolding around them. Don't let them coordinate a response. The Phantom materialized inside the defensive screen of an Imperial dreadnought, its quantum-phased weapons striking directly at the vessel's crystalline power core. Before the Empire's gunners could respond, Hayes' ship had already vanished, tunneling through quantum space to its next target. Admiral Torres watched the tactical display from Luna Command with grim satisfaction. The Empire's mighty fleet, which had arrived with such pomp and confidence, was being systematically dismantled. Their ships, for all their technological advancement, couldn't counter an enemy they couldn't effectively target or track. Multiple Imperial capital ships disabled, reported the tactical eye. Their formation is breaking down. They're attempting to regroup, but our quantum strikes are preventing any coordinated movement. In Deep Harbor, Dr. Chen monitored the quantum field readings with intense focus. The technology was performing beyond their most optimistic projections. The Empire's sensors couldn't detect the quantum tunnels until they opened, and by then it was too late. Energy signatures stable across all combat units, she reported. The Empire's attempts to track our quantum signatures are failing. They literally can't see us coming. Aboard the Eternal Dawn, Supreme Commander Vexus watched her carefully constructed battle plan collapse into ruins. Her ships were firing blindly into space, hoping to hit enemies that could appear anywhere at will. The humans had turned their supposedly primitive vessels into the deadliest weapons the Empire had ever faced. "Get me a secure channel to their command," Vexus ordered, her scales shifting to a pale shade of defeat. "We need to." Her words were cut short as the Phantom materialized directly in front of her flagship's bridge. Commander Hayes's voice came through clear on all frequencies. "Supreme Commander," Hayes announced, "your fleet is disabled. Your communication systems are isolated. You've lost nearly a third of your ships, and we haven't even deployed our main strike force yet. Would you like to discuss terms?" The silence that followed was deafening. Throughout what remained of the Imperial fleet, commanders watched in shock as their supreme leader faced a choice no Nexin had confronted in living memory: surrender or annihilation. "You deceived us," Vexus finally responded, her voice a mixture of anger and reluctant admiration. "All this time, we showed you exactly what you expected to see," Hayes corrected. "You chose to believe we were primitive because we didn't develop technology the same way your empire did. That was your mistake, not our deception." As the reality of their situation became clear, the Empire's remaining ships powered down their weapons. The humans had not just defeated them. They had rendered their entire approach to warfare obsolete. Every advantage the Empire had relied upon for centuries had been negated by humanity's quantum tunneling technology. Admiral Torres's voice joined the channel. "Supreme Commander, humanity has no desire for conquest or domination. What we want is recognition, not as subjects or students, but as equals. Your empire's age of unchallenged supremacy is over. The question is whether you can adapt to this new reality." Throughout human space, hidden quantum sensors watched as additional Imperial fleets, summoned by Vexus's final automated distress call, emerged from fold space. They found not a triumphant Imperial armada, but the remnants of a force that had learned the hard way not to underestimate humanity. The battle that was supposed to teach humanity its place had instead taught the Empire a lesson it would never forget. True advancement comes not from perfecting old technologies, but from daring to imagine entirely new ones. The humans hadn't just developed better ships or weapons, they had fundamentally changed the rules of space combat itself. In the gleaming halls of Nexin Prime, the Imperial High Council convened for what would become a historic session. The crystalline chambers, once a symbol of unchallenged power, now echoed with uncomfortable truths. Supreme Commander Vexus stood before her peers, her scales still bearing the pale hue of recent defeat. "The humans did not simply defeat us," she reported, her voice carrying across the stunned chamber. "They rendered our entire military doctrine obsolete. Our technological superiority, maintained for millennia, was undone in a single battle." The council chambers erupted in heated debates. Some called for immediate retaliation with the Empire's full might. Others demanded the humans' quantum technology be seized by force. But the wiser voices, including Vexus herself, recognized that the galaxy had fundamentally changed. On Earth, humanity's leadership was already preparing for the next phase. Admiral Torres and Dr. Chen presented their findings to a joint session of Earth's governing bodies, explaining the full implications of their victory. "The Empire's response will define the future of galactic relations," Torres explained. "We've demonstrated that we can defeat them militarily. But that's not our goal. We need to show them a better path forward, one of cooperation rather than dominance." Dr. Chen's team had already made another breakthrough. The quantum tunneling technology, initially developed for military applications, had incredible potential for peaceful uses. It could revolutionize trade, exploration, and communication across the galaxy. "We're offering the Empire a choice," she told the assembly. "They can try to compete with us in a war they can't win, or they can work with us to create something unprecedented, a true partnership of equals." The Empire's decision came 3 weeks later. A delegation of their highest-ranking scientists and diplomats arrived at Earth, not to demand submission, but to propose collaboration. They had studied the battle recordings extensively and reached an inescapable conclusion. Humanity's approach to technology offered possibilities they had never considered. In a ceremony broadcast across both human and imperial space, Supreme Commander Vexus and Admiral Torres signed the Quantum Cooperation Treaty. The agreement recognized humanity as full equals in the galactic community and established a framework for sharing technology and knowledge between the two civilizations. Our empire's greatest error, Vexus admitted during the signing, was not in underestimating humanity's technology, but in underestimating their capacity for innovation. They showed us that true advancement comes not from refining what we know, but from daring to imagine what might be possible. The years that followed transformed the galaxy. Human quantum technology, combined with imperial stellar engineering, created possibilities neither civilization had imagined alone. The Empire's ancient riddles of space and time found new solutions through human creativity, while humanity's bold theories gained new depth through imperial experience. As other species watched this unprecedented collaboration, the galaxy's power structure shifted. The age of imperial dominance gave way to an era of mutual respect and shared discovery. The humans had not only defeated an empire, they had shown it a better way to exist. In Deep Harbor, now a joint research facility, Dr. Chen worked alongside imperial scientists, pushing the boundaries of quantum physics further than ever. Commander Hayes led joint fleet exercises, teaching imperial commanders to think beyond their traditional doctrine. And in Earth's diplomatic halls, new alliances formed as other species recognized that humanity's greatest strength lay not in its technology, but in its ability to imagine and achieve the impossible. Admiral Torres, speaking at the 10th anniversary of the battle that changed everything, summed up the transformation. We could have used our victory to become what we defeated, another empire seeking dominance. Instead, we chose to show that true power lies not in forcing others to submit, but in inspiring them to grow. The empire thought they were teaching us our place in the galaxy. Instead, we taught them, and ourselves, that the galaxy has room for all of us to advance together. The Nexin Empire, humbled but not broken, had learned perhaps the most valuable lesson of all, that greatness comes not from maintaining superiority, but from having the wisdom to recognize and learn from those you once thought beneath you. In the end, humanity's greatest victory wasn't defeating the empire, it was showing them a better way forward.